Hi there, I'm Ingrid. And yes, my sister fired me. Right after our dad handed her the company. She didn't call, didn't explain, just erased me like I was never part of it. But what she didn't know was that pushing me out would cost her everything. She thought I'd disappear quietly. The first thing that felt off was the coffee. I always brewed it at 7:15, just before the office started buzzing. That morning, it tasted weak, like someone had used the last of the good beans and left me with dust. I stood by the kitchenette window overlooking downtown Seattle, watching fog crawl between buildings. The city was wide awake, but something in me wasn't. I'd come in early, as usual. Old habit. I liked having a quiet hour before the meetings kicked off, to prep, reset, breathe. The Kingswell presentation was scheduled for Friday. It was our biggest account, one I'd nurtured through delays, cultural barriers, and at least 2 near deals that almost died on the table. 6 months of work, hundreds of details, all carefully woven into a final strategy I was planning to review today. But when I logged into the system, my access was gone. At first, I stared at the screen like it had misread my name. Then I tried again. Same result. I checked my permissions, clicked through what I could, and then there it was. An email from IT, auto-generated, no greeting. Per CEO directive, your administrative access to client records has been temporarily reassigned. No explanation, no signature, no context. Temporarily reassigned? I sat back in my chair, blinking. My fingertips hovered over the keyboard, unsure what to do next. Something twisted in my stomach. I reminded myself to breathe. This had to be a mistake. Probably some system migration thing no one told me about. It happens sometimes when they pushed updates. Still, I felt the weight in my chest shift. Not panic, yet, but a kind of quiet dread. The kind that doesn't shout, only hums in your bones. By 9:20 a.m., things got louder. I was scanning email threads for Kingswell documents I knew I'd written. Documents that now showed restricted access. When Rachel, one of the junior analysts, leaned over from the next desk. "You're not heading upstairs?" I looked at her, confused. "Upstairs?" "For the Kingswell strategy briefing," she said. "It started 10 minutes ago. I figured you'd be leading it." Her voice softened near the end, like she wasn't sure whether to keep going. My heart paused. I stood, slowly. From where I sat, I had a direct line of sight to the main stairwell. And right on cue, I watched a group of team leads file past, all headed toward the executive floor, holding folders with my diagrams, my charts, my research. At the end of the group, I saw Todd, the new ops manager, who'd only been at Velour and Crest for 4 months. He was smiling like a man who didn't understand the room he just stepped into, holding my notes. I stepped into the hallway, intercepting Jenna, Serafina's assistant. She was usually polite. Today, she looked like she didn't want to make eye contact. "Is there a reason I wasn't included in that meeting?" Her lips pursed. "The new leadership is shifting direction," she said, then walked off without waiting for a reply. I stared after her, frozen. There it was. New leadership. That meant Serafina. 2 weeks ago, my father officially stepped down and handed the CEO role to his eldest daughter. I should have seen this coming. She and I had never fought outright. Not exactly. But she never forgot that I came from his second marriage, and she came from the first. I was the second family, the shadow that moved in after her mother left. And though we worked under the same roof for years, we'd never been aligned. Still, I thought we had professional respect. Apparently, that's not what she thought. By noon, I sat alone in the break room with my half-eaten salad wilting in front of me. People walked in and out, speaking in half-quiet tones. No one looked directly at me. No one asked if I was okay. I stared at my phone, tempted to text my father. But what would I even say? "Did you know she's cutting me out? Did you plan this?" Instead, I scrolled. News. Emails. Empty notifications. I thought about the first time I signed the Kingswell account. It had taken 4 months to even get their procurement manager to return my call. And now the entire account was being restructured behind a closed door. Without me. The worst part wasn't being excluded. It was that no one bothered to tell me I was. At 3:45, I went back to my desk. A few of my team members smiled in that awkward, trying not to get involved way. I nodded politely. Then I looked down at my company badge. Still functional, still letting me through the doors, still scanning green in the elevators. But the truth was, I wasn't sure it would tomorrow. The next morning, the office felt colder. Not in temperature, just energy. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was the look people gave when they saw me walking in. Like I was a painting that had already been taken down, and no one had figured out where to store it yet. I hung my coat, booted up my computer, and told myself today would be normal. At 8:53 a.m., my inbox pinged. Subject: Kingswell concern, internal process delay, CC, entire senior management team, from strategy and ops. I clicked it open, my chest already tightening before I read a word. The message outlined an internal delay due to recent misalignment in prior communications led by Ingrid Velour. It mentioned my name twice, casually, but precisely. It stated that I had not provided complete documentation to ensure forward movement. It implied I was the reason Kingswell was hesitating, but that wasn't true. None of it. I scanned the thread again, checking every attachment. There was a version of a client response draft I'd never seen. The numbers weren't mine. The language didn't sound like me, and everyone had already read it. Around me, keyboards clicked and phones rang, business as usual. I sat frozen, blinking at the screen, while the blood in my body felt like it was migrating somewhere else. My hands itched, like I needed to punch through the monitor. By 10:15, I was in the archive system, digging through version histories. That document, the fake response, had been saved at 1:12 a.m. under Todd's credentials. Todd, who had joined 4 months ago. Todd, who had walked into the Kingswell meeting with a smile like it was just another Tuesday. I sat back, jaw tight. It wasn't just carelessness. It was planted, and someone made sure it went to everyone before I ever had a chance to speak for myself. I needed answers. So I left my desk quietly and made my way to the marketing floor. Tamsin looked up from her screen when I entered. We'd started at the company around the same time. She used to be on my team before she transferred. We hadn't spoken much lately, but there was still a sliver of something unspoken between us. Something people like Serafina hated. Memory. I didn't even need to ask. Tamsin nodded before I opened my mouth. "They've been splitting up your accounts all week," she said in a low voice. "Serafina signed off on it. It's not just Kingswell. You've basically been carved out." I closed my eyes for a second. "And no one told me." "That was the point," she said. "They wanted it quiet." I left her office feeling like I was carrying someone else's bones inside me. Each step back to my floor felt heavier than the last. By early afternoon, my desk felt like a spotlight in a dark theater, too exposed and yet somehow invisible. I stayed until 6:30, even though I wasn't doing much beyond rereading emails and quietly erasing the draft of a resignation letter I'd typed in my notes app. Later that evening, I found myself parked outside the corner gas station on Rainier Avenue, staring blankly at a green light that had long since turned red again. I wasn't crying, not really. It was just that my eyes burned and my hands wouldn't stop gripping the steering wheel. I thought about last Thanksgiving, eating microwaved stuffing in the office lounge while finalizing the Kingswell proposal. I remembered being on a Zoom call during my cousin's wedding. I remembered the weekend my mother was hospitalized, and I rescheduled the ER visit so I could take a client call. And now a single email with a reply all had rewritten the story. My name was no longer attached to my own work. My face was now the scapegoat for someone else's mess. The shame wasn't from the lie. It was that so many people believed it without hesitation. I turned the key and drove home. Quiet. Mechanical. Tomorrow, I'd find out what else they planned to take away. I didn't sleep much. I remember checking the clock around 2:11 a.m., lying flat in bed, staring at the ceiling fan as if it could spin some kind of answer out of the stale air. The only sound in my apartment was the occasional creak of the building settling into itself, just like I was trying to do. Settle. Breathe. Think. By the time sunlight crept through the blinds, I was already dressed. No makeup, just tinted moisturizer and a braid that felt more like armor than a hairstyle. I walked into the office right before 8 a.m., head high, heart uncertain. I passed through security like a ghost. Badge still worked, but barely anyone looked at me. When I reached my desk, there was already a calendar alert waiting. Subject: Performance Concerns Review. Urgent time: 9 a.m. Location: HR, lower level, conference room 2. I stared at the screen long enough that my monitor went into sleep mode. I showed up to the meeting at 8:59, knocking twice before walking in. 2 people sat at the long rectangular table, Sandra from HR and Brent, our legal liaison. No smiles, no welcome, just quiet protocol. Sandra began reading from a printed form before I even sat down. There have been multiple concerns raised about your recent conduct, Ingrid. Terms like uncooperative, volatile, and resistant to feedback came up repeatedly. I blinked. From who? Brent replied, without looking up from his laptop. Anonymous submissions. We're protecting their identities. Anonymous? My voice cracked slightly, just enough to make me mad at myself. So we're holding a review based on whispers, on unverified input? Sandra kept her tone even. We're not making a final decision. This is just a formal warning. I looked at the paper she slid across the table. My name. A formality. A wound wrapped in corporate formatting. I didn't argue. Not because I agreed, but because I saw it clearly now. This wasn't about collaboration. It was extraction. I signed the document with a pen I nearly snapped in half. By 9:32, I was walking back toward my desk, with a strange calmness pressing against my ribs. Like the body knows what the soul hasn't caught up to yet. My inbox was flooded, but none of it mattered. Not the memo from accounting, not the system update. Only one thing made me pause. There was a single folded letter on my keyboard. I picked it up slowly. Ingrid, I'm sorry. I can't stay in a place that treats you like this. You taught me how to lead, and they're punishing you for it. Nolan. He'd written it by hand, not typed, not emailed. He left it like a quiet apology. I sat down. Nolan had been with me since his internship. I'd pushed to get him hired full-time. I'd walked him through client calls, late edits, even a few tears after his mother passed away. And now, he was gone. The office around me went still. My team avoided my eyes. One of them walked past with a box of binders, mine. Not a single word was said. At lunch, I didn't eat. I just walked the halls. I passed framed photos of company parties. One of them had me, 2 years ago, holding a glass of champagne next to Serafina. We both smiled, but now it looked staged, like actors mid-rehearsal. The hallway smelled like printer toner and recycled air. I used to love the rhythm here, the buzz of minds building something together. Now, it just felt like static. I stopped at the corner window, staring down at the city. People moved fast, cars lined up at red lights, phones to ears, eyes on nothing. This place used to mean something to me. I gave it more hours than I gave my marriage. I missed anniversaries, skipped family holidays. And now they were rewriting my legacy, piece by piece. I whispered aloud, just to myself. I built this place, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. As I turned back toward the hallway, my reflection in the glass stopped me. They thought they could erase me, replace me, fold me up and file me away with a few anonymous notes and one dirty memo. They didn't realize something had shifted. I wasn't the Ingrid they remembered, and I wasn't going to let them finish writing my story for me. Sleep came in fragments, restless and shallow. By the time my alarm buzzed at 6:30 a.m., I was already sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, thumb hovering over unread emails like they were grenades waiting to go off. That's when I saw it. Forwarded at 3:17 a.m. from Nassim Khalid, Kingswell's lead negotiator. The subject line was calm, but the message underneath carried an undertow of concern. We're unclear on the current direction of the Veller proposal. The new point of contact seems misaligned with our previously discussed terms. Please advise. Nassim. He had CC'd one of Kingswell's senior legal advisors. That wasn't a mistake. It was a move. Strategic. Public, within private channels. My stomach clenched. Vindication and dread tangled in the same breath. I reread it twice, then once more out loud. It was careful, professional. But anyone in our business knew exactly what Nassim was saying. Where is Ingrid, and what the hell is going on? I placed the phone face down on the kitchen counter and stood in my quiet apartment, suddenly aware of every tick of the old wall clock. If Serafina thought removing me would be seamless, she was about to learn otherwise. By the time I arrived at the office, tension hung in the air like humidity before a storm. The receptionist offered a strained smile. I returned it without pause. As I walked past the glass conference rooms, I caught glimpses. People gathered in corners, laptops open, murmuring in clipped tones. I paused near the printer station and overheard it. Just 3 words from someone in legal. "Where's Ingrid now?" It was the first time in weeks I heard my name said, without a whisper or a warning. Inside the operations suite, Serafina paced in front of the projector screen, flanked by Todd and Jenna. Emergency meetings. Likely spinning a new version of the narrative to clean up the one they'd ruined. I didn't enter. I didn't need to. Their expressions were enough. Tight jaws, darting eyes, fingers tapping pens too fast. The wheels were coming loose. Still, no one said anything directly to me. HR still averted their gaze. But a few colleagues, those who once looked past me, now met my eyes when we passed in the hallway. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. I saw something flicker there. Hesitation. Maybe regret. Around 3 p.m., I left the office. No announcement, no explanation. I just walked out, drove east across the bridge, and parked outside the house I hadn't visited in months. My father opened the front door before I could knock, as if he'd been standing behind it all along. "Ingrid," he said, surprised, but not shocked. "Do you have a few minutes?" He stepped aside. "Always." His living room smelled like old leather and the faint citrus cologne he never stopped wearing. The same gray recliner. The same fireplace that had been fake since I was 6. I didn't plan to say much. I couldn't. But I had to let something slip through. Just enough. "I'm not asking for protection," I said. "But if you think everything's running smoothly up there, it's not." He didn't interrupt. He just listened. "They're losing Kingswell," I added quietly, "because they removed the person who built the relationship." He looked down at his hands. Those large, strong hands that once taught me how to hold a steering wheel. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "the people we protect need to be tested, and sometimes they fail." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "And what happens when they fail at someone else's expense?" His gaze didn't move, but something in his silence cracked open the air between us. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't. But now he couldn't pretend not to. I stood to leave. He didn't stop me. Back in my car, I didn't drive away immediately. I just sat there, hands on the wheel, watching the old house through the windshield like it might vanish if I blinked too long. The war had started. Not with an explosion, but with a question left unanswered. His silence said more than any answer he could have given. By the time I got home that night, the silence in my apartment didn't feel peaceful. It felt loaded. I dropped my bag by the door, pulled off my blazer, and stood in the dark kitchen for a moment, letting my eyes adjust. I didn't bother with dinner. I just poured a glass of water and scrolled through my notifications, half dreading what might be waiting. And there it was. A message from Tamsin, time-stamped just 20 minutes earlier. No subject, just a file. Thought you should hear this. T. I sat on the couch and hit play. The audio crackled for a second, then steadied. I recognized the space, one of the smaller conference rooms on the second floor, where marketing often huddled. Then came the voice. Serafina, clear, steady, sharp. We need to remove Ingrid before Friday. No one will risk pushing back if we keep the narrative tight. She's already isolated. Just finish it. I paused it, sat in silence, then hit play again. This time, I didn't flinch. Her words didn't hurt as much as her tone did. Cold, clinical, like I was a stain she'd been meaning to scrub out for years. She didn't just want control, she wanted the story. I set the phone down gently, but my hands shook, not from fear, from the final clarity. She had made it personal. So would I. The next morning, I walked into the office with something different in my stride. Not anger, not revenge, intention. I kept to my routine, brewed my coffee, replied to emails, said nothing. At 2 p.m., Margot Dell, one of the senior board members, appeared outside my office door. She didn't knock. She just raised an eyebrow like she was deciding whether or not to walk in. I nodded once. That was all she needed. She closed the door behind her. I'm not here on anyone's behalf, she said first. Let's just get that straight. I leaned back slightly, unsure where this was going. I've watched this place bend for Serafina, she continued, but not break. Yet. I didn't interrupt. I didn't trust myself to speak. Margot crossed her arms. If you choose to fight, I won't stop you. The board is paying closer attention than you think. But attention doesn't mean support, not without something concrete. I exhaled, steady. I don't need everyone to back me. Just enough people not to look away. Margot gave the faintest hint of a smile. That's the first smart thing I've heard in weeks. She didn't say she was on my side. She didn't need to. After she left, I sat alone at my desk. The clock read 4:12. Outside the window, Seattle's sky was beginning to bruise with early winter dusk. I opened my email, typed my father's name into the to field, then stared at the blinking cursor. I started writing. You gave her the company, but you gave me something else. You taught me to never walk away from truth. Then I deleted it, rewrote it, deleted it again. Eventually, I left it saved in drafts. No subject line, no signature, just a truth I wasn't quite ready to release. That night, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, hands gripping the counter. The face staring back at me didn't look defeated. It looked awake. I wasn't waiting for the next attack. I wasn't waiting for permission, or justice, or even fairness. I was done waiting to be invited back into the room. The next morning, I didn't bother choosing my outfit carefully. I wore black. Not as a symbol, just practicality. It hid fury better than beige ever could. I walked into the building at 8:52 a.m., coffee in hand, and headed straight to my desk. But before I could sit, my phone buzzed. Come to Serafina's office, now. Jenna. No subject line, no punctuation beyond the period. No need to guess. I tossed my bag under my chair and made my way upstairs. The glass doors to the executive floor stood open, framing Serafina like she was posing for a magazine cover. She was sitting with one leg crossed over the other, posture perfect, a folder neatly closed in front of her. Ingrid, she said without looking up, have a seat. I didn't. This isn't personal, she started, in that soft, detached way people use when they're about to gut you with a smile. But you're no longer aligned with the direction we're taking. Your position is being dissolved, effective immediately. No HR rep, no security escort, just her. I stared at her for a long beat, not blinking. Then I took one step forward, voice calm but crystal clear. You just made your biggest mistake. She didn't flinch, but I saw it, the slightest twitch in her cheek. Then I turned around and walked out. No folder in hand, no speech, no collapse. By the time I got to the elevator, my pulse was steady. I didn't go home, not yet. Instead, I walked 2 blocks to the coffee shop near Pike Street, grabbed a booth in the corner, and opened my phone. First, I sent a message to Jude, the internal auditor. "You'll want to hear this." Then I attached the audio file of Serafina's meeting. Next, I texted Margot. "I'm ready." She replied with just one period. Back at my apartment that afternoon, I opened my notebook, the one I hadn't touched since my first year at the company. Inside were pages of notes I'd once used to train new hires, sketch strategies, map out recovery plans after failed quarters. Now, I turned to a blank page and wrote at the top, "Timeline, Serafina's internal strategy shift." Beneath it, I started listing. May 12th. Client assignments quietly reshuffled June 3rd. Budget reallocation away from client services. July 10th. First memo referencing collaboration concerns. Every dot connected. Every move now had context. The hunt had begun. Word spread fast. By 5 p.m., 3 different coworkers had texted me. Short, coded things like, "Thinking of you," or "That was low, even for her." I didn't respond. Not yet. At 6:17 p.m., I got the email that sealed it. From Nassim Khalid. To Edric Veller. Subject, Kingswell engagement status. Urgent. Due to significant shifts in communication and team structure, Kingswell is placing all further action on hold until Ingrid Veller is reinstated in her previous capacity. Our confidence in the original partnership terms is tied directly to her leadership and presence. We await your clarification. I read it 3 times. Then I forwarded it to Margot without a word. Serafina thought she'd taken the crown, but what she grabbed instead was a lit fuse. She may have won a battle, but she just stepped into a war. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't try to. I didn't need rest. I needed clarity. And clarity came at 7:42 a.m. in the form of a message from Margot. "Boardroom, 10 o'clock. You're on the invite." No other details, just that. I got dressed in silence, tied my hair back tighter than usual, and left the apartment without finishing my coffee. By 9:55, I was seated at the far end of the glass-walled conference room on the top floor. The board table gleamed like it had something to prove. Every chair was filled. Margot sat beside Edric, her arms crossed. Jude stood at the head of the table, a remote in one hand. The lights dimmed slightly. "We've concluded our digital audit," Jude began, clicking the first slide. What followed was a ruthless, methodical breakdown. Logan timestamps, IP addresses, file access logs, email headers, dozens of them. Every one of the sabotage instances, from altered spreadsheets to manipulated emails, could be traced back to a shared workstation. That workstation belonged to Serafina's executive assistant. "Multiple entries," Jude continued, "over the course of 5 weeks. He clicked again. The timeline glowed behind him. At first, the room was quiet. Then someone whispered near the end of the table. This wasn't a misstep. It was an operation. Gasps followed. Jude didn't flinch. He clicked again. An email forwarded from an internal printer queue. A draft resignation letter, unsigned, with a file name matching Nolan's final note, except this version listed Ingrid as the one who had pressured him to leave. False, planted. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I let the evidence speak for me. Then Jude stepped aside, and Margot stood. "There's one more thing," she said. A woman entered. She looked to be in her 60s, calm but alert. Her name tag read D. Ramsey. "My father's old assistant," I murmured to myself. She held a sealed manila folder. "We kept this archived," she said, placing it in front of Margot. "I was instructed never to share it, unless the company's integrity came under threat." The room held its breath. Inside was a contract review from years ago. A European investment deal Serafina had spearheaded and tanked. The report showed 7-figure losses due to premature disclosures, missed legal compliance, and internal misrepresentation. I remembered whispers. But this was confirmation. Edric's jaw tightened. He leaned forward slowly, elbows on the table, eyes closed, like the memory itself hurt. "She told me she learned from it," he muttered. Margot's voice sliced the air. "She didn't." Serafina stood in the doorway, arms folded, face unreadable. "I made mistakes," she said, stepping into the room. "But so has everyone here." "No one else tried to erase a co-founder to cover their own," Margot shot back. Serafina opened her mouth again, but Margot cut her off. "You had your turn." A beat of silence. Then another board member said what everyone was thinking. "She can't stay." Every eye turned to Edric. He stood up. Slowly, like every step cost him. He looked at me. "I gave her the company," he said. "But I gave you the truth. You knew how to carry it?" A few seats shifted. Someone cleared their throat, uncomfortable. Serafina didn't blink. She looked at me, not like a sister, not like a rival, like a stranger trying to decode the aftermath of her own storm. As Margot nodded toward security, Serafina's lips curled into something between a smirk and a threat. She passed behind my chair, pausing just long enough to say, "This isn't over." And then she was gone. I watched the elevator doors close behind her, her reflection shrinking to nothing in the polished steel. Nobody spoke for a long while. The boardroom cleared slowly. Chairs scraped back. Papers were gathered in silence. Margot gave me a single nod and slipped out. Edric didn't move. He stayed at the end of the table, hands flat on the surface, eyes staring into the wood grain as if it held answers. After the last person left, he finally looked at me. "Office," he said quietly. "Please." The walk down the hallway was quieter than it had ever been. In his office, he didn't sit right away. He stood by the window, his back to me, shoulders stiff. "I thought time would fix her," he said finally. "I thought I was buying her time to grow into it." I leaned against the edge of his desk. "You gave her the keys, but she crashed the car. That's not on you, that's on her." He turned slowly. His eyes looked older than they had the day before. "I thought you were the one who didn't want the weight." "I never wanted the crown," I said, "but I was willing to carry the cost." He didn't say anything for a moment. Then, quietly, he reached into the top drawer and pulled out a folder. "I should have done this weeks ago." He slid it across the desk. Inside, a new contract. Clear. Director, permanent. Executive Director, Client Strategy and Culture, a role above Serafina's. Reporting to the board. I signed it without looking up. By early afternoon, an all-hands emergency meeting was called. No one knew what to expect. The auditorium buzzed with confusion and speculation. The last time a meeting like this had been held was during a company-wide layoff years ago. Edric stood at the podium. "I want to address what's happened, and what will not happen again," he began. His voice was steady, though heavy. "Effective immediately, Serafina Velor is suspended pending final review. Ingrid Velor will oversee the Kingswell transition and lead cultural restructuring." A rustle of whispers swept the room. Some faces stiffened, others softened. I stepped up beside him. "I didn't come back to reclaim a title," I said. "I came back because this company deserves better than silence and sabotage." The words weren't rehearsed. They didn't need to be. The applause started slowly, uncertain, cautious. Then it built, solid, earnest. I nodded, once, then stepped back. We didn't take questions. We didn't need to. Later that evening, I returned to my office. The same chair, the same desk. But nothing felt the same. As I was packing a few things into drawers, I found something unexpected. A small envelope, no name on the outside. Inside, on unlined paper, in handwriting I knew as well as my own, were 4 words. "This should have been mine." No punctuation, no explanation, just that. I folded the note, placed it in a folder, and locked it in the drawer. Then I whispered, barely audible, "Maybe," but I earned it. I sat down, not as the girl who once waited for credit or the woman they underestimated, but as someone who finally knew her worth. Some endings aren't victories, they're releases. The next morning, I walked through the lobby of Velour and Company just like I always had. Only now, the air felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just clearer. There was no announcement, no grand re-entry, just a quiet return to a desk that wasn't about prestige, but purpose. The first thing I did was reinstate the ethics reporting line that had quietly disappeared under Serafina's restructuring. It wasn't flashy, but it was necessary. Then I made a list of former team members who had left, not by choice, but by force. Some had already moved on, others returned my call. A few rejoined quietly, no press, no fanfare. It wasn't about undoing the damage. It was about starting again, one brick at a time. Margot and I reworked the leadership flowchart. Edric handed off more than I expected, maybe more than he wanted. But he didn't push back. Trust was something we were both learning to earn again. I didn't try to be approachable. I didn't try to be liked. But the whispers in the halls faded. Eyes met mine again, not out of fear, but out of respect. Some days, I stayed late just to walk the floors alone, to hear the hum of the place as it started to breathe again. That weekend, I sat in my apartment, feet tucked under me on the couch, reading over notes for the Kingswell renewal. It had been a full week since Serafina walked out. No press release, no public fallout, just silence. Rumors buzzed, of course. She moved to Florida. No, I heard she's in Michigan, starting over, somewhere quiet. Edric never brought her up again. Not at work, not at home. That Sunday afternoon, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Her number was still there, buried under an old nickname I hadn't used in years. I stared at it. I didn't know what I expected. I let it ring 4 times. Then I hung up. I didn't leave a message. Because some wounds don't need closure. They need distance. A few days later, I caught my reflection in the mirror of the 3rd-floor restroom, the same one I used to hide in when the politics of the office felt too heavy. I looked at myself. I didn't see the woman who'd cried in that stall 2 years ago after Serafina had shut down her proposal in front of a full boardroom. I didn't see the sister who had once begged for inclusion. I saw someone else now. Someone who no longer needed to be explained or defended. Someone who knew she didn't rise because someone gave her permission. I reached into my blazer pocket and found a folded index card, a line I'd scribbled months ago during one of those long, uncertain nights. I'd written it without knowing why. Now I did. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's choosing to stop bleeding. I whispered it once, let it land. Then I walked out of the restroom and back into the office, not with a vengeance, not with regret, but with the full weight of who I'd become. There were no apologies, no redo. Just a choice to stop bleeding and start living. And if you've stayed with me this far, thank you. Maybe you've been in my shoes. Maybe not. But if you've ever been dismissed, underestimated, or made to feel small in a space you helped build, then you already understand the quiet strength it takes not to shatter. Here's what I learned. Silence doesn't protect you. Loyalty should never come at the cost of your dignity. And sometimes, walking back into the room is not about reclaiming power. It's about redefining it. I used to believe that keeping the peace meant staying quiet. Now I know, peace built on silence is just fear with a smile. So, if you're standing at your own crossroads right now, maybe in your job, your family, or your own sense of worth, ask yourself, what story are you letting someone else write for you? And are you ready to pick up the pen? I'd love to know, has there been a moment in your life when you finally said, enough, I deserve better? Drop a comment below with A or just type 1 if this story hit home for you. Or tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. And if you didn't connect with this video, I still want to hear from you. Tell me why. What did or didn't sit right? What's your story? Let's turn this comment section into a space of shared truth, not just opinions. And hey, If stories like this remind you of your own strength, your voice, your second chances, then hit that subscribe button, because I have more to share. This is Ingrid, and I may not be who I was when this began, but maybe, just maybe, neither are you.
I'm sorry, John, but we need you to leave the company. I was called into the HR director's office and was told this. My name's John. I was working as a full-time employee at a grocery store, and yes, I had just been laid off due to the store's financial struggles. Over the past few years, they resulted in cutting personnel costs through a massive downsizing. That day, I became jobless. I slowly pedaled my bicycle on the way home. I didn't even feel like making dinner. Although it'd be a bit of a detour, I thought of picking up a takeaway burger, so I took a less traveled back street off the main road. Just when I was almost at the burger shop, I noticed an elderly lady sitting on the ground. "Are you okay?" I hopped off my bike and ran over. She had fallen and hurt her leg. She couldn't get up on her own and was in distress since there weren't any people around to help. "Sorry about this. Could you give me a hand? Without something to hold on to, it's hard to get up." Ouch! Even though she grimaced in pain, it seemed like she could walk with a limp. I quickly gathered up her scattered groceries and put them back in her bag. "Good that nothing here looks broken or crushed. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver." As we talked, I properly looked into the elderly lady's face for the first time. "Wait a minute, aren't you that guy from the store?" With what she said, I finally remembered. This elderly lady was a regular customer at the grocery store where I worked. Perhaps recognizing a familiar face put her at ease as she looked relieved. She tried to receive the grocery bags from me, but it was clear she couldn't carry them and walk. I asked if there was anyone who could come pick her up, but at this time of day, no one was at home. Worried she might fall again, I decided to carry her bags and accompany her home. "I'm so sorry, John. Thank you." She held onto my arm and we walked slowly together. "If you could lead me to a handrail, I'll be fine from there. Thanks so much for helping." She kept apologizing, so I reassured her with a smile that it was no trouble at all. "You really are kind. You always serve customers with a smile at the store, which makes me very happy." While I appreciated her kind words, it made me feel a bit conflicted. That feeling turned into a faint laugh. "You seem a bit down. Everything okay?" She gave me a curious look, occasionally glancing at my face. "Well, actually today was my last day at that store." "Oh dear, were you transferred or did you find another job?" When she asked, I honestly told her that I'd been laid off. As we chatted, we arrived at her house. It was a slightly large single-family home with stylish flower beds on both sides of the walkway leading to the entrance. With garden lights illuminating our path, we walked slowly towards the front door. "You can put everything down here. That bag must have been heavy. I'm truly grateful that you passed by. Thank you." There was a step leading to the front door, and the thought of her possibly falling inside had me concerned. "If you don't mind, I can carry it inside for you." Upon my offer, the elderly lady replied with a pleased look. "Well then, I might just accept your kind offer." After I finished carrying the bag, she offered me some tea as her proof of appreciation. Just then, her cell phone rang. "Oh, it's Ashley. Please excuse me for a moment." She apologized to me and took the call, updating the person on the other end about the situation. "There's no need to rush. Could you pick up some lunch?" Yes, that sounds good. Thanks, dear." She hung up the phone after saying that. "That was my granddaughter," she said. "She'll be home soon." Hearing that, I felt relieved and thought about leaving. "Wait, Ashley is bringing lunch. It's getting late, and she said she's getting lunch for you too. I think she's already picked it up from the deli." Please, can you at least accept that from us?" Hearing her plea, I hesitated about what to do. Then I decided to graciously accept her kind offer. I was invited to sit, and we made small talk until Ashley returned. The elderly lady began talking about Ashley. Ashley's parents passed away in a car accident when she was still young. Unfortunately, the couple were both involved in the accident. From then on, it's just been the two of them living together. Ashley has grown up, but she stays with her grandmother, always worrying about her, she said. It's clear how caring and gentle Ashley is, always putting her grandmother first. Every day after work, she comes straight home without any detours. At the end, the elderly lady expressed concerns about Ashley not dating and wished she'd think about her own happiness soon. She probably can't leave the house because she's worried about me, she mentioned. You know, I'd be thrilled if a kind person like you married her. Oh, speaking of which, would you consider marrying my granddaughter? What? She really is a wonderful girl and quite clever. This turn of events was absolutely unexpected. Having her suddenly propose marriage threw me off, and the tender feelings I'd felt earlier flew right out the window. But it got me thinking, is being offered a marriage proposal a common thing in the service industry? I've been approached with the "how about my daughter" line at the supermarket before, and I've heard my female coworker getting the "be my son's bride" line. It's always awkward when someone says that. All you can really do is laugh it off. Suddenly, I heard "I'm home" from the entrance. I figured Ashley must have returned and got up from my seat. As I turned toward the door, there she was just entering the room. "Hi, I hope I'm not bothering you," I said. "I'm so sorry for the trouble. It seems my grandma has been in your care. Thank you so much." She looked apologetic, but I was captivated by her appearance. Ashley was in her office uniform, her hair pulled back, and she was strikingly fair-skinned with bright eyes. She had a gentle vibe, seeming like such a kind soul. I just kept bowing my head slightly, losing my words in front of her. The elderly lady turned to Ashley, starting to chatter away with a happy gleam in her eyes. "Welcome home. So, this gentleman here, he's the cashier from the grocery store I always visit. I'm so glad such a kind soul was there to help me out. #####. Oh, Ashley. What do you think of him? He's genuinely a great guy. Seems like Grandma brought home a potential guy for you." The elderly lady placed her hand over her mouth, her face beaming with joy. Seeing her like this, Ashley responded with a confused tone. "What are you talking about?" "I mean, he could be your future husband." Upon hearing that, I was taken aback, wondering if her earlier comment was really just a joke. Of course, Ashley was just as surprised and flustered. "Grandma, what are you saying? It's rude to say that about someone I've just met. I'm so sorry." "Oh dear, I've met him several times before." I couldn't help but chuckle, commenting, "You two really seem close." Ashley, with an apologetic look, thanked me for the day and handed me a packed lunch. Knowing she had bought one for me, I gratefully accepted it. Then the elderly lady asked, "Why don't you eat it now?" Ashley intervened, "I don't think that's fine with him," and I decided to decline her offer. I expressed my gratitude, and Ashley and I headed towards the entrance. As I put on my shoes and looked back, the elderly lady was limping over to send me off. "Thank you so much. I'm sorry for keeping you up late, and I apologize for not expressing my gratitude properly. Feel free to visit next time." I responded, "Not at all. Thank you for the lunch," feeling warm-hearted by their kindness. I perceived her words as her polite social etiquette, but they still warmed my heart. Just as I was about to open the door and leave, something happened. "That's right. If it's not too much trouble, could you come over again tomorrow? With this leg, I might not be able to manage it." Apparently, she's arranged a delivery of plants and saplings for her garden tomorrow, but with the pain in her leg, she might not be able to do the job properly. As the elderly lady was speaking, Ashley seemed confused upon hearing what she said. "That's just too much, Grandma. You're acting weird today. Are you okay? You didn't hit your head, did you? Let me check if you have any injuries." "I didn't hit my head at all. It's just my foot that hurts." Ashley seemed genuinely concerned, checking Grandma's head for any injuries and asking if anywhere else hurt. With what the elderly lady has asked me, I was surprised too. Although I'm jobless anyway, and I don't have any plans for tomorrow. If she needs help, I have plenty of time. Should I come over tomorrow? Only if it's not a bother. Ashley hesitated, apologizing, but in the end, we agreed I'd visit in the afternoon. The next day, as promised, I went to the elderly lady's place. "Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver." While I had the elderly lady sit on a small chair, she taught me how to care for the garden. After all, we both enjoyed this moment. But during that, I heard an interesting story. Currently, Ashley is working full-time in an office, but apparently, she's always dreamed of opening a cafe since she was little. She's even graduated from a culinary school. During her college days, she had experience working part-time in eateries, but in the end, she chose to be an office worker. Even if she were to own a cafe or work full-time in one, she'd be working from morning until late at night. But she definitely still wants to open a cafe. The reason the elderly lady mentioned me being a potential spouse for Ashley was because she thought if there was someone skilled in customer service, she could start her cafe confidently. Plus, she genuinely felt that Ashley and I might get along well. The day after hearing that, I went over to the elderly lady's house again. After replanting some flowers yesterday, there was some space left, so I decided to buy more plants to fill it. Today's Saturday, and it seems Ashley had a day off. I made her quite surprised. "Goodness, Grandma, did you ask him to come again today? I hope it's not too much trouble." "I'm really sorry," Ashley said upon seeing me. Ashley immediately apologized, and I briefly explained the circumstances of my visit today. After planting the additional flowers and watering them, Ashley kindly offered, "Why don't you take a break sitting on the porch?" The three of us sipped on our coffee. Then the elderly lady cleared her throat softly and said, "Hey Ashley, I really want you to achieve your dreams soon." "Ah, what do you mean?" Ashley tried to play it off with a tilted smile. "I don't want you to hold back just for me. I know you're still planning a lot of things," the elderly lady revealed. She knew how Ashley secretly jots down numerous notes in preparation for her dream. It'd be tough to do it alone, but maybe with someone else's help, it'd be easier. "John here is great with customers. How about getting some help from him?" "Oh, Grandma, you can't just say things easily," Ashley responded, her eyes slightly teary. "If Ashley's okay with it, I love dealing with customers. But I know trusting an unemployed guy is a hard thing," I said. "No way, John. I love the way you handle your customers. You'd be a great partner for Ashley," the elderly lady said without missing a beat, making both Ashley and me chuckle. "Oh, Grandma, always acting wild on your own," Ashley playfully remarked. The three of us laughed, lightening the mood for a bit, but soon after, Ashley's expression changed. She seemed deep in thought, biting her lip. "You know, maybe Grandma is right. Maybe now's the time to start," Ashley murmured, as if speaking to herself. Maybe she changed her mind, but Ashley mentioned she would reflect on it for a day. Then the following Sunday, I went over to the elderly lady's house again. It seemed her leg was improving, so I thought of making today the last day of taking care of her. As I was working on the garden with the elderly lady, Ashley approached me, asking, "Can I talk to you for a sec?" She had prepared coffee on the porch, and in her hand, she held a notebook. "It's a little embarrassing, but can you take a look?" she said, handing over the notebook she had been gripping tightly. Flipping through a page, it was filled with writing. Surprisingly, every page was like that. There were drawings of an ideal cafe's exterior, food illustrations, and tons of recipes. I couldn't help but exclaim, "This is amazing! I've been thinking about opening a cafe. I really want to do what I love," Ashley said, looking a bit shy, her eyes sparkling. When Ashley thought about doing it on her own, she was worried about being completely tied down to the business and also concerned about her grandma being at home, all by herself. But she felt that if someone could be with her, it might ease some of that stress. Moreover, Ashley mentioned she had seen me working at the grocery store. She recalled that I had good customer service skills. "If it's not too much trouble, could you join me? I know it's a bit shameless of me to ask." The idea of me becoming a cafe employee wasn't something I had taken too seriously. I never expected her to actually ask. But seeing Ashley's passion in her notes and my own desire to work in customer service again, combined with my urge to try something different, I felt a spark. "If you're okay with me, let's do this together," I said, holding my hand out to Ashley. Seeing this, Ashley looked surprised but gave a joyful smile. We then firmly shook hands. She must have been nervous asking me. "Oh, thank goodness," she exclaimed, shaking my hand vigorously. She was genuinely happy. "Shall we open up our own cafe?" she asked excitedly. "Let's go for it." I matched her enthusiasm and responded cheerfully. From that day on, Ashley and I exchanged contact information, communicated through emails, and discussed things at home. We looked at vacant store spaces together and consulted with contractors. Ashley steadily progressed with the preparations, and I supported her throughout. In addition, I began a morning part-time job until the cafe was set up. Although I had some savings, I thought it would be a good idea to earn a bit more for daily expenses since I had the time. And 6 months later, the cafe opened. We found a perfect little vacant shop, and with some renovations, we were ready to start. On the opening day, the place was bustling with neighbors, friends, and people who had seen our flyers. After closing on the grand opening day, they held a celebratory gathering with the elderly lady joining in too. "Thank you, John, for making this dream come true with me." "No, I should be the one thanking you. See, I knew my intuition about you was right. Must be fate." Honestly, fate and destiny might be more real than I thought. The day I was laid off from my job, I helped an elderly lady and met her granddaughter Ashley. Now I'm working beside Ashley to open her dream cafe. You see, John, it wasn't in vain, right? You might have been down that day, thinking about why you've been working for all this time. But now, your warm hospitality is shining. It all had a purpose, and of course, it's also because you're such a good person, right? Ashley, Grandma found a keeper, didn't she? At that, both Ashley and I exchanged she smiles. Then the elderly lady added, "It reminds me of the old days," looking at Ashley's parents. Saying that, she had a distant look in her eyes. Ashley was taken aback by those words and looked at her grandmother's face. "Ashley, you look like your mom and have a fine charm like her. John, you have that gentle aura just like my son." Ashley was so young back then that I don't think she remembers. But you see, this is where Ashley's parents used to have their shop. Hearing that, both Ashley and I exclaimed, "What?" in surprise. Turns out Ashley's parents used to run a coffee shop right at this spot. The elderly lady realized it when she came to see the store after the renovation was finished. She was so shocked that she was speechless. When she got home and went to her room, that's when her emotions finally caught up, and she broke down crying. She thought about telling Ashley right away, but decided to keep it quiet until the store officially opened. She wanted Ashley, who was so passionately chasing her dream, to be able to build the store freely without any disruptions. But as the interior progressed steadily, the elderly lady was even more astounded. Ashley's taste was just like her parents'. Whether she was told earlier or not, it would have been the same. And then there was a bank buck. She gave Ashley a startup fund. Turns out it was the life insurance money from Ashley's parents that Grandma had carefully saved just for Ashley. The elderly lady, with teary eyes, said that she's sure Ashley's parents would be delighted to have been able to support Ashley's dream. Also, those sunflowers displayed in the shop, it was John who suggested decorating with them, wasn't it? He said they perfectly matched Ashley's vibe. You know, my son once told Ashley's mom the same thing. It's truly mysterious. It might not have been a coincidence, but destiny. Hearing this, I felt emotions I've never felt before. Did I make it a bit melancholic? At her words, all three of us managed to smile and wiped away our tears. Suddenly, she exclaimed, clapped her hands, and leaned forward. Now you two, don't you have something important to discuss? Got something to tell your old granny? Donya puzzled as Ashley and I exchanged glances. The grandma chuckled, causing both Ashley and I to blush. Oh my, was I early? Haven't you told her yet? I've known for a while. With that, the elderly lady burst into laughter again. Well, I should just leave you two alone. Grinning, the elderly lady headed to the back room. Left alone, Ashley and I awkwardly looked at each other and shared a shy smile. But this was it. It was now or never. Would you? Oh, what? That was when we officially started dating. Time flew, and as for the cafe, thanks to everyone's support, it's been thriving. Our whole grain bread and vegetable-rich sandwiches for breakfast have become a hit. They are low in sugar and calories, which is one of our top recommendations. Ashley and I are getting along very well, both in the kitchen and the dining area. About 3 months into our relationship, we started to discuss our marriage, and on our cafe's first anniversary, we actually registered our marriage. When we broke the news to the grandma, she cried tears of joy. After getting married, the three of us live in Grandma's house. She told us, "You're newlyweds, why not live on your own?" But I felt safer here, and above all, it was more fun living with her. Thanks to that, every day is filled with smiles. I hope we continue to live with this happiness and harmony.
You, with your unimpressive demeanor, don't deserve the drinks in this bar. Just the perfect timing. It's raining outside. Why don't you go drink some rainwater? That suits you better. After being laid off, I was dragging around a heavy heart. At the bar, I bumped into my obnoxious former boss, who snatched my seat. But then, an unexpected person appeared, and the situation took a dramatic turn. My name is Michael. I'm 59 years old and work at a small toy company called Colorado Toys. I can't say I'm great at socializing. I've always been rather poor at it. However, I always tried to be as polite as possible to my colleagues and superiors, and I even developed a hit product. But my accomplishments were usurped by my colleague Kevin, preventing my advancement. Kevin was really good at showing himself in a positive light. He would dump troublesome tasks on others, yet talk as if he had struggled through them himself. My inability to articulate well didn't help my standing with the bosses. I couldn't liven up the mood at drinking parties, and even got scolded for not speaking up more. Kevin climbed the ladder successfully and became my boss. He looked down on me. Completely useless old men who stay at the bottom are just a waste. We don't need men who can't advance, he would say. It was normal for him to spew such insults. You live alone, right? You must be bored at home. You should work overtime and contribute a bit more to the company. He would often force me to do overtime. Though it's painful to admit, Kevin was right in a way. When I go home, there's no one there, and I have nothing to do. I used to live with my wife and child. My wife was an amazing woman, too good for me, always smiling and devoted to housework and child rearing. When our son Jason was born, our home became livelier. Jason loved music from a young age and started piano lessons. The sound of the piano became a daily occurrence in our house. He also loved playing with the toys I made. Seeing my son play with my creations made me feel my job was worthwhile. Even if work didn't go well, as long as my family was happy, that was enough for me. But those peaceful days didn't last long. When I was still 30, my wife passed away due to illness. Left behind, I was in a daze of grief. I was at a loss on how to live after losing my wife, but I had Jason. I couldn't afford to be dumb forever, so began my days of focusing on home life. Embarrassingly, I had left most of the housework and child rearing to my wife, so at first, I struggled a lot. My cooking was always burnt, and Jason would complain it was awful. But what was more challenging was taking care of Jason. About a month after my wife passed, he began to frequently throw tantrums, saying, "I want mom. Let me see mom." I felt the same way about wanting to see my wife. Holding Jason tightly with a heavy heart, I managed to say, "I'll do my best for both me and mom." What would someone eloquent say in such a situation? I resented my own lack of eloquence. It was tough at first, but as time went on, I gradually got used to the household chores and became more efficient at them. As Jason grew up, he seemed to understand our family situation and started to help me out, which was a great relief. As he entered his teenage years, our conversations decreased, but he continued to help with the chores. Furthermore, on his 21st birthday, Jason said, "Thanks for raising me all these years." I was deeply moved by this and couldn't help but cry. It's a great relief to see him grow up into such a kind person. Jason moved out when he graduated from college to live on his own. I was happy to see him become independent, but the loneliness outweighed my happiness. Living in an empty house turned out to be lonelier than I had imagined. Before I knew it, I had aged and suddenly found myself at 59. One day, when I went to work, Kevin approached me with a smug grin. I had a bad feeling about it. The first thing he said was shocking. "You're fired." I was stunned by the suddenness of it. My mind went blank. "May I ask why?" I asked with a trembling voice. Kevin continued almost gleefully. "Did you forget I mentioned a while ago about downsizing due to poor performance? You're a 59-year-old low-level employee. It's not a big deal if you're let go. Just so you know, this was a decision from the top. Don't blame me. I thought the downsizing was supposed to focus on those with poor work attitudes." Though I found it unfair, I couldn't argue. I hadn't caused any trouble, but on the surface, I hadn't achieved anything notable either. I quickly resigned myself to the fact that being fired was inevitable. Seeing me downcast, Kevin looked even more amused. "Enjoy the little time you have left in your working life. Goodbye." Watching Kevin walk away triumphantly, I was convinced that my life was now on a downward slope. I had to tell Jason about being fired. It was hard to say, but I couldn't keep it from him forever. When I called him somewhat apprehensively, Jason's reaction was surprisingly gentle. "Dad, you've done enough. Now you can relax as much as you want." I was grateful to my son, who didn't blame me but instead comforted me. However, life after retirement was different than I imagined. Initially, I felt at ease without Kevin's harassment, but I soon found myself aimlessly drifting through each day. Unfulfilled, watching TV didn't really lift my spirits. I had thought work was tough because of Kevin, but after leaving, I realized I had taken pride in developing toys. Imagining the joy of children playing with the toys I created was enjoyable. Unable to find new sources of pleasure, I became increasingly despondent. 6 months after retirement, I started to lose sight of what I was living for. Sometimes I would murmur to my wife's portrait, "What should I do now?" While pondering this, I happened to see a feature on must-visit scenic spots. It's not that I had any particular interest. I just tuned in because I had nothing else to do. While watching aimlessly, a beautiful waterfall caught my eye. It was located in a forest and had recently become popular as a power spot. The waterfall was so beautiful it felt like it cleansed my soul, and I found myself mesmerized by it. I realized that I had been living in the hustle and bustle of the city for so long without ever really connecting with nature. To change my mood, I decided to actually visit the place. It had been a while since I had felt the urge to do something on my own. Leaving my recent glue behind, I quickly prepared for the trip. Before I knew it, the day of the trip arrived. I arrived at my destination without hesitation and stepped into the forest. The air was crisp and refreshing. The greenery of the trees was beautiful, Although the waterfall was still ahead, I knew coming here was the right choice. After about an hour of walking, the scenery opened up, and the waterfall appeared. It was even more beautiful and impressive than in the videos. Just watching the water cascade down was soothing to my soul. I could understand why it was called a power spot. It was a weekday, so there were few people around. As I was thinking of finding a spot to sit and enjoy the view, I noticed a woman sitting next to a large tree. She looked to be in her 20s. Her shoe was off, and she was looking at her foot. Her foot was swollen, and her beautiful face seemed to be in pain. I instinctively called out to her, "Are you okay?" Startled by a stranger suddenly speaking to her, she forced a smile. "Yes, I'm fine. It's just..." Her foot was clearly swollen, and it didn't look good at all. It would take an hour to walk out of the forest. Going back alone seemed difficult. "Excuse me, I have time, and if you don't mind, I can drive you to a hospital. I came to the entrance of this forest by rental car, so I can give you a lift. Please don't push yourself." The woman hesitated, but I assured her, "Please don't feel obliged." Eventually, she relented and said, "Please, I would appreciate that." I twisted my ankle walking in the forest. I didn't want to return without seeing the waterfall, so I pushed myself, but it got worse. I supported her out of the forest and drove to the hospital in my rental car. The doctor said, "It's not serious, but you need to rest for a while." Afterward, I took her to the hotel where she was staying. Her name was Emily, and she loved traveling. Emily told me about the various tourist places she had visited. She was a great storyteller, and listening to her made me want to visit those places. Surprisingly for me, the conversation flowed smoothly, even though it was our first meeting. We continued chatting even after arriving at her hotel room. I didn't have any other plans besides seeing the waterfall, and Emily, unable to go out due to her injury, wanted me to stay and keep her company. During our conversation, I learned that Emily lived in the same town as me and even knew about my former workplace. It's surprising how well she knew about such a small company. Eventually, the topic changed, and she asked, "Why did you come here, Michael?" After some hesitation and wondering where to start, I ended up telling her everything from the beginning. "Well, actually, I got fired from my job." Despite it not being the kind of story you typically share with someone you just met, Emily listened to it all. It turned out that she had also quit her job due to exhausting office relationships and understood my situation. Her love for travel began as a way to refresh herself by visiting different places around the country. "For all the hardship you faced, I'm sure good things are ahead in your life," she comforted me. Her empathy touched me deeply, and I was grateful. Despite the unexpected events, it turned out to be a heartwarming trip. After returning from the trip, I received a call from Jason. He invited me out, saying, "There's a great bar I know. How about we go for a drink? It may be nosy of me, but I was worried you might have been feeling lonely. Let's go out and have a good time. I have a lot to talk about too." Nosy? Not at all. It's true that I've been living a lonely life lately. I appreciated Jason's concern. Come to think of it, it had been a long time since Jason and I had a drink together. I think the last time was on his 21st birthday. The thought of drinking with my son after so long lifted my spirits, and I quickly agreed. Unfortunately, it was pouring rain on the day of our appointment. Still, the thought of seeing Jason made the rain seem less bothersome. I took the train and arrived at the designated bar, but Jason hadn't arrived yet. He had told me it was a popular place, and indeed, most of the seats were filled. Luckily, there was one seat near the entrance that was empty, so I took it. As I was looking at the menu, the door of the bar opened. I casually glanced up and was shocked. It was Kevin who had walked in. He also noticed me and initially looked surprised, but his expression quickly turned mocking. Well, what a coincidence to see you here enjoying life after getting fired," he said, and uninvited, sat opposite me. My son is supposed to join me soon. I'm sorry, but could you please find another seat?" I hesitated but protested. Kevin's eyes narrowed. "Why should I care? I want to drink here too. Besides, I'm a regular at this bar. I should be given priority." I thought his demand was ridiculous, but Kevin kept pressing. "Someone as dull as you doesn't deserve to drink here. It's raining, so why don't you go outside and drink rainwater? That suits you better." Kevin dismissively waved his hand, snatched the menu from me, and started looking through it. It seemed unlikely he would move just by a few words of request. Not wanting to cause a scene and disturb the bar, I decided to wait for another seat to open up. I reluctantly stood up from my seat. Noticing the concerned look from the waiter, I assured them, "It's fine. I can take another seat." Just then, the door of the bar opened again. Two people entered. One was Jason, but to my surprise, the other was Emily. "What a coincidence to meet here. This is amazing," I exclaimed, surprised although I was taken aback. Emily seemed as if she had anticipated this encounter. "Meeting you here isn't a coincidence. Actually, Jason and I know each other and have an important matter to discuss, so we came together." I was bewildered by this sudden turn of events. The fact that Jason and Emily knew each other was surprising enough, but what could this important matter be? "We'd like to talk right away, but it seems the place is full," Emily observed, looking around the bar with a disappointed expression. Then her face lit up as she spotted Kevin. Could it be that she also knew Kevin? Kevin noticed Emily staring and said, "Stop staring. It's rude." An intimidated Emily confidently approached his table and sat down without asking. "Since Kevin is here, let's discuss everything now. It's a very important matter, so I'll take a seat. Michael, please sit down too. I want you to hear this." Surprised by Emily's assertive attitude, I sat down as she instructed. "Who the hell are you, being so rude?" Kevin demanded. Emily then revealed something unexpected. "Sorry for not introducing myself earlier. I'm the daughter of the president of Colorado Toys. My name is Emily." "What?" I exclaimed in surprise. Meeting the daughter of the president of the company I used to work for by chance while traveling was an incredible stroke of luck. Kevin was visibly taken aback. Emily continued her story. "I recently met Michael. He's such a kind person, and it didn't seem right that he was fired. I asked my father why such a nice man was let go. He told me it was because he received reports of poor work performance, but I couldn't believe it. I shared with my father the story of our encounter during my travels, insisting on a proper investigation. My father agreed to look into it, seeing how earnestly I pleaded." Emily glared sharply at Kevin. It turned out that Kevin had lied about Michael's work performance, saying it was poor, negatively influencing the management's opinion of him. "What evidence do you have for that?" "It's a false accusation," Kevin protested, his face turning pale. Emily remained calm. "We obtained testimonies from Michael's former colleagues. They all unanimously said Michael was a good person. It's strange that he was fired. Those traitors." Kevin's face now turned red with anger. Emily spoke with an air of disdain. "If you must blame someone, blame yourself for your foolish actions. You will soon face the consequences. Be prepared." "What? Don't mess with me." Kevin stood up, moving aggressively towards Emily. I was about to intervene when a stern-looking waiter approached. His name tag read Manager Brian. He gave Kevin a stern look. "Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you please lower your voice? It's disturbing other customers. How dare you speak to a regular like me that way?" Despite Kevin's high-handed attitude, Brian, the manager, responded firmly in a low voice. "I'll just say it as it is, you're a troublesome customer. When you get drunk, you cause issues with other patrons, and we've received complaints asking us to deal with it. We'd rather not have a regular like you chased away." Kevin turned pale and hardly left the bar. "I thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. You really helped us out." "It's no problem at all," Brian replied with a hearty smile before returning to the back of the bar. Afterward, Jason, Emily, and I decided to have a good time together. Emily and Jason had two important things to share. The first was about Kevin's misconduct. It was pure coincidence that Kevin was at the bar, and both were as surprised as I was. The second was a delightful piece of news. Emily and Jason were in a relationship and considering marriage. Their meeting story was quite touching. Emily, after graduating from university on her own merit, had joined a major corporation. However, once her identity as the company president's daughter became known, baseless rumors spread that she had gotten the job through connections. No matter how hard she worked, she couldn't gain trust, leading to a difficult time. One day, she saw a man playing street piano at a station. It was Jason. After graduating from a music college, Jason had been working as a pianist, performing across the country. According to Emily, Jason's performance was wonderful, and just listening to it felt like a balm for her soul. She approached Jason to thank him after his performance, but she was so moved that she found herself in tears. Concerned, Jason listened to her story and suggested she travel around the country. He often traveled for work and believed unexpected encounters and discoveries enriched the heart. Upon hearing that, Emily decided to quit her job and set out on her travels. As she kept in touch with Jason during her journey, they grew closer and eventually started dating. Jason had arranged this meetup to introduce Emily and simultaneously cheer me up. Naturally, I supported their relationship and congratulated them. "Congratulations. I'm looking forward to the wedding," I said. Jason laughed. "We haven't even decided when to get married yet. You're getting ahead of yourself." But he looked pleased. The three of us then enjoyed a pleasant meal and drinks together. It seemed that Brian, the manager, had overheard our conversation, as he kindly provided us with some complimentary dishes. Thus, the enjoyable night wore on. A few days after the incident at the bar, I heard from Emily that Kevin had been fired. It turned out he was not only harassing others but also embezzling company funds. Apparently, his family had had enough and left him. Meanwhile, I returned to work and got involved in toy development again. My past achievements were recognized, and I was promoted. Now able to fully utilize my skills, I launched new products one after another, contributing greatly to the company's growth. Many consumers thanked me for the wonderful toys, which was incredibly gratifying. Jason and Emily were also delighted with my success. As kids, they loved the toys I developed, so their happiness meant even more to me. Recently, they celebrated their wedding. They are now enjoying a blissful married life. Influenced by Emily, I've grown quite fond of traveling, often taking trips on weekends. My personal life has finally become fulfilling, and living feels enjoyable now. There was a time when I was worried about what the future held, but now it seems life will be good. I feel like my wife in heaven is smiling down at me, reassured. "You salary thief. You're fired. I should have fired you a long time ago. You ought to be grateful." A sudden termination announcement. The company's environment is indeed poor, but at least I'm getting paid. If I don't stand my ground here, my family will be in trouble. Please, anything but firing me. I'll work even harder. I beg you. To Tom, the president's son, as a temp worker, if I'm let go, finding another job will be tough. I need to somehow get on his good side. Even if you say you'll work harder, you haven't achieved much as it is. It's a bother having you around, you get it. With a smug smile and crossed arms, he speaks arrogantly. It's a decision made by my father, the president. Stop your yapping and pack up already. You're slow up till the end. His loud laughter echoes in the room. There's nothing more I can do. Thank you for everything, I managed to say and leave his room. A few days after this termination, my once bleak life takes a turn, and Tom, who fired me, begins his downfall. Never would I have imagined such a dramatic turnaround. "Hey, you're not done yet. You guys are really useless." Angry shouts fill the office. Tom, the president's son, struts around the room, kicking the chairs of colleagues working frantically. With his arms crossed arrogantly, he says, "It's really a hassle that nothing progresses without my scolding," with a sigh and a gesture of exasperation. Colleagues are fed up with his attitude, but he's the president's son. No one dares to speak up. "My name is Carlos. I work as a game developer at Macro Corp. I've been with this company since joining, but now I work as a temp due to certain reasons. I come from a single-parent family, just my father and me. My mother passed away when I was young, and he raised me alone. He has always been frail with many illnesses. Despite this, he encouraged me to do what I want in the future. I wanted to repay him as soon as possible. Joining the well-known Macro Corp, I was happy to finally be able to make life easier for him. But perhaps years of strain took their toll. Not long after I joined the company, he fell ill. Since falling ill, he couldn't work like before and was frequently hospitalized, so I convinced the company to let me work as a temp to accommodate his care. I continued working with the understanding and help of my colleagues, but those days didn't last long. A year after, the son of the company president named Tom joined the company. The atmosphere in the office completely changed. There had always been a faint scent of a toxic work environment, but we only had to stay overnight a few times a month. However, since Tom's arrival, the workload and unreasonable schedules increased drastically. He claimed to be assigning the right people to the right jobs, but his sudden reshuffling of the female staff increased the burden on the team immeasurably. Exhausted, I would collapse into bed as soon as I got home. My father was worried about me, but I knew if I quit the job in a fit of emotion, I'd be lost. So I never showed weakness in front of him, always insisting, "I'm okay." One day, I had to accompany my father to the hospital, so I went to my boss to request a half-day off next week, which I had already informed the company about. Unexpectedly, I was called into Tom's office. Confused but not one to be late and hear more complaints, I hurried to Tom. "Carlos here. Excuse me for interrupting." "Up, come in," came a languid reply from inside. "What do you need me for?" His response was something I never expected. "Yeah, you're fired, effective today," he said without even looking at me. Stunned and at a loss for words, I faced his annoyed expression as he repeated his statement. "You hear me? You're fired." "Why?" I was dumbfounded, but the question came out in an easy-to-understand manner. He laughed and responded, "Always taking half days off and not working," he said with a mocking laugh. "My father is sick and needs someone to accompany him. I have explained this to the company and received their permission. But why? Maybe he doesn't like that I'm backing down, and this time he gets irritated and starts yelling at me. Don't make noise, it's no good if I say no. I can't believe you let me quit for that reason, huh? What are you complaining about? Don't you realize how much trouble you're causing by taking time off? Someone else will take over the work you threw away. Everyone worked hard. If you're the only one who takes frequent breaks, even though you're busy, it'll be a nuisance to everyone around you." He grinned and continued speaking. "It's the responsibility of those of us who are above us to protect our employees. Besides, your work isn't worth your salary. You're useless, and you're taking days off, which is a burden to the company. It's nothing else, right? So this is a natural decision for the company to make. It's an employer's right, do you understand?" he said, laughing heartily. "Well, that's the way it is. Take care." I did take more days off than other employees, but I completed my assigned tasks and coordinated well with others. I couldn't accept Tom's reason for firing me. My salary was the mainstay of the household budget, and my father's medical expenses were still ongoing. "I'll withdraw my half-day request. I'll work even harder than before. Please, I beg you, don't fire me." I didn't want to bow down to Tom, who abused his parents' power to do unreasonable things. But if I worried about appearances, I'd be lost. I pleaded emotionally. "Work hard. No matter how much a fool tries, it's useless. We don't have money to waste on a salary thief like you. Or are you challenging the decision of me, the president's son?" "Go ahead, make your move," he said threateningly, a sleazy grin on his face. I was powerless. "Thank you for everything," I said, barely getting the words out. "You should have just said that from the start, wasting my time. Hurry up, pack your things, and get out. Goodbye." His laughter echoed until the door closed behind me. My father, who was preparing dinner, was surprised by my unusual return. Sensing something from my demeanor, he gently patted my back. Feeling the warmth of his hand, I held back tears as I told him I had been fired. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. It's because of my lack of ability. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry for always being a burden. Carlos, take a rest now. We can think about work later." "But it's okay. I've been feeling better lately and have taken on more work. Don't worry about money." "Dad, oh right, you've been so busy lately. How about playing a video game for a change? You must be tired today. Rest in your room and I'll call you when dinner's ready," he said, smiling kindly. "Okay, I will. Thanks, Dad." Then I dragged my heavy body to my room. I picked up a stack of game software I had bought but never played. There were various games, including old favorites and recent popular releases. As I sat alone in the quiet room, the computer screen displayed "Update completed." It was a notification for Revengestory, an online game I was hooked on. Come to think of it, I haven't played in a while. I used to log into this game as a break from work, even after I started my job. But since Tom joined a year ago, work doubled, and I had to stay overnight more often, so I neglected even this game. Nostalgia moved me to sit in front of the computer. I bet no one remembers me anymore, I muttered self-deprecatingly as I logged in. The familiar music played, and my avatar, through which I'd had many adventures, stood there as valiant as ever. My love for games was influenced by my late mother. My father used to watch my mother and me play, looking happy. That was the usual scene at our home. After she passed away, I lost the will to play games. But at such times, my father would say, "Shall we play together?" That was faraway story. Although my mother wasn't there, it strangely felt like she was with me. I think my father must have felt the same way. It would be a lie to say it wasn't hard, but it was undoubtedly the games that saved us, a family who had lost my mother. For me, games were a part of our family memories and connections. That's why I naturally came to want to be someone who creates games. After finishing vocational school, I joined my dream game company. Despite that, "You're fired, effective today." The moment of my dismissal came back to me. My hand controlling the character almost stopped at that moment. "Well, Koo, it's been so long." That's how I was addressed on the screen. "Really happy to see you again, Koo. You've got time now, let's adventure together again." They were companions I used to travel with. A wave of nostalgia rose in my chest at this long-awaited reunion. Like old times, I opened voice chat and laughed with friends on the other side of the screen. The conversation, unchanged from those times, was comforting. "Koo, you seem down. Is something wrong?" Daisy, the reliable one in our party, asked me this. "Do I seem so?" "Yes, I agree. If you have worries, talk to Alice here. If I tell you, you'll just say it until you're full, and that's it." "What?" "I say hunger is the greatest enemy." Everyone laughed at Moonmaker Alice's famous quote. Then Ren, the party leader, spoke to me in a slightly serious tone. "If it's okay with us, we'll listen to you." His words touched the depths of my heart. Before I knew it, I was telling them about what happened today. "What? That's power harassment." "Unbelievable." "That's awful." I could only laugh weakly at everyone's words. "You still want to make games, right?" Daisy asked me. "Of course, my passion hasn't changed. But I wonder if I, being a temp, can find a job." "That's not like you. You always encouraged and helped us, Koo. You can surely do it." Roden encouraged me. "Yes, we all know your love for games, Koo. There's definitely a company out there that will appreciate you." Alice's words strongly affirmed me. "I think so too. There are still many possibilities ahead for you. Please don't give up." Daisy's gentle voice touched my heart. "Thanks, everyone," I said, feeling their belief in me gave me courage. "You mentioned before that you've studied various programming languages, right? I think that's a significant strength. Then how about making a bold move and changing jobs? Maybe to a rival company or something." "That's a great idea. Then you can become a big success there and show them, right? It's worth a try, nothing to lose." The game I opened out of nostalgia, the conversation with the friends I met there, gave me the courage to try again. Games are indeed indispensable in my life. I promised to report back to everyone and close the game. "All right, I'll do my best to give everyone good news," I muttered, staring at my clenched fist. I didn't realize that my father was quietly watching me all this time. After that, I searched desperately for a job, and by chance, I found that Whittier, a major game company and rival of Macro Corp, where I had worked, was hiring programmers. I applied immediately, and the day of the interview arrived. "Carlos, please come in." I decided to convey all my thoughts here. With that determination, I entered. There was a woman and a man sitting in front of me. "Thank you for coming today. We will conduct your interview. I'm Thompson, the president, and this is Lopez, the head of development. Pleased to meet you." That's how they introduced themselves. "Oh man, this beautiful person is the president." Is something the matter?" President Thompson, concerned about my silent, motionless stance, spoke to me. "Oh, well, sorry. My name is Carlos. I used to work at Macro Corp. Thank you for having me today." And so the interview began. "I see you really love games, Carlos. I can feel it passion in your story. Why did you leave Macro Corp?" I answered honestly about my family situation, the harsh environment at Macro Corp, and the circumstances of my dismissal. President Thompson and Leon frowned as they listened. I had heard rumors, but I didn't realize it was that bad. Yes, really. While working at Macrock Corp, I became numb to its oddities, but seeing the reactions of Tom and Leon, I realized something was off. Just having someone understand made me feel a bit relieved. You've learned so many languages in there. Impressive, Thompson, the CEO of Whittier, exclaimed after reviewing my resume. Leon, department head, nodded in agreement, stroking his chin. Never thought you'd join us, he murmured, but I couldn't hear him clearly. Then they nodded to each other in agreement. I watched them, feeling detached, until I heard the next words. Carlos, you're an immediate asset. Please join us. Are you hiring me? Yes. Is there anything you are concerned about? Let's see. I know I don't say this myself, but I think I'll be taking a lot of time off from work because of my father, so I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Thompson stands up. It's ridiculous to be a nuisance. Everyone at the company is friends. People from various backgrounds work in the same company. They help each other and complement each other to create something good. There are people in this company who dislike you, Carlos. There is no such thing as a president. I guarantee it. She was pounding her chest with such force that it made a banging sound. She is right. I am also working while caring for my elderly mother. There are many people in the development department, including people with small children, people who are pregnant, and people like me who are caring for family members. Some people like you have family issues. We work together and follow each other, so please rest assured. Leon smiles and nods, affirming her words. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you all. I delivered appreciation over and over again. President Thompson once again told me, please feel free to apply for early leave or half-day leave for your father. Even though we had just met, I was so happy they were this caring. I found myself wanting to be useful for the company and for her. I'm getting ahead of myself considering I haven't even started working yet. I found myself smiling naturally as I headed home, feeling a sense of nostalgia in Thompson's kind voice. Working at Blue Tech Co., I really felt how comfortable it was. There were no arrogant people who got in through connections like Tom nor any shouting within the office. Everyone was working energetically and lively. I often saw President Thompson herself visiting various departments and appreciating the employees. It was a scene I had never witnessed at Macrocorp, but it alone made me realize the open atmosphere of this company. The salary and benefits were quite good, more than double what I used to get even when I was at 10. Thanks to this, I no longer worried about my life, and my father was happy too. When I told my gaming buddies like Daisy, who cared about me, that I got the job, they were all really happy for me. They even gave me warm words, saying to consult them anytime if needed. I'm truly glad to have them in my life. Initially, I was supposed to be assigned to the development department as a programmer, but considering my frequent leaves, I'm temporarily assigned as an assistant to the president within the company. In the past, employees who were pregnant or had serious illnesses were assigned to this position, working well considering their health. They've been so good to me in every way, I can't thank them enough. One day, a big trouble arose and a meeting was held. It was about a critical bug found in an upcoming software release that needed urgent fixing, or else the release would be delayed. Hearing that a delay would easily exceed a damage cost of $1,500,000, I felt a chill down my spine, especially since various campaigns were already underway. Reports from various departments followed, making the air in the room heavier. After all the reports were in and a silence fell, I hesitantly raised my index finger. Well, President Thompson, may I also participate in the fixing work? My suggestion drew all eyes in the room to me. I appreciate it, but the deadline is really tight. Considering your father, I don't want to burden you. If I just relaxed at home while the company is in trouble, my father would scold me. Even if I can only help a little, please let me join. I beg you. Saying this, I expressed my plea. I sensed a sigh and looked up to see her smiling. Carlos, thank you. You're a big help. Please start working under Leon's direction immediately. I'll also ask around for support from other departments and reach out again to programmers we've worked with before. Please lend your strength, everyone, and let's overcome this crisis together. Everyone nodded strongly at her words. This must be how the company has always overcome crises together. I felt like I saw something like a bond, and a warm feeling settled in my heart. Director Liam, I'm counting on you. Carlos, I'm relieved to have you. Thank you. From then on, it was incredibly busy every day. I was at the development department tackling the revisions, but maybe it was thanks to my intense days at MacroCorp. Even with little sleep, my focus never waned, and I could use my typing speed honed in those days. With external programmers summoned by the president joining in, our progress speed increased, allowing us to complete the work. Thus, we managed to release as scheduled, and this trouble was splendidly resolved. Then, one day, a modest celebration was held in the development department. I was invited to join. President Thompson brought some refreshments. Amidst everyone's excitement, she sat next to me. Carlos, thank you so much. For this time, only the development department was calling you God Hand. That's an exaggeration, but really even Liam praised your incredible skills. We met an amazing talent that day, she smiled softly. Being praised by her makes me blush. You're flattering me too much, but I'm really happy to finally feel useful to the company. I'm the one who's grateful. I'm really happy to work with you. My heart beat faster as she whispered these words closer than usual. Looking at her face, gazing straight at me, I felt drawn in. President Thompson. Carlos, come over here and join us. Hearing that, I came to my senses and realized I'd gotten too close to her. Oh, I'm sorry. Embarrassed, I hastily returned to the group. I pretended not to notice the smirks around me and focused on enjoying the gathering. And then, I continued to work alongside President Thompson while attending to my father at the hospital. However, what? He's collapsed. It was a sudden call. Fortunately, a neighbor found my father quickly, so it wasn't serious. I rushed to the hospital room where he was sleeping. His complexion was far from good. The attending doctor was in the room, and I received an explanation in another room. Your father needs surgery. Hearing that, my mind went blank. I returned to the room and looked at his thin face. Dad, I desperately tried to hold back tears. I had to do something. I couldn't lose him. Then I explained the situation to the company and told them I would need to take more half-days off. President Thompson kindly agreed and also expressed concern for my father's condition. If you have any trouble, please let me know. Her kind words reminded me of the cost of the surgery, but I couldn't impose, having only started working a few months ago. Thank you, that's more than enough. I forced a smile. At that time, I didn't notice her sad expression. Since my father collapsed, I've been going to the hospital every day, trying hard to smile so he wouldn't notice. While I was collecting laundry, watching me intently, he spoke. Carlos, I'm always causing you trouble. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. Just get better soon. It's okay now. Carlos. What are you talking about? I raised my voice reflexively to his words. I know my own body best, but your dad's time is... That's impossible. I cut off his words, raising my voice. Carlos, I don't want to burden you anymore. I don't want to hinder your life. Dad, I want him to live. I want him to be by my side. Before I knew it, I was sobbing. His thin, four-tube-laden arm gently stroked my head. You should go back to work now, he advised, and I left the room feeling powerless. Then Tom, who had announced my firing, walked by. Carlos, seeing the nameplate of the room I emerged from, he seemed to understand why. I was there. I see your dad's hospitalized, huh? I didn't have the energy to respond and just started walking away. For some reason, he has been following me and blocked my way. What's going on with you? What do you mean? I heard, man, you joined Blue Tech Co., didn't you? He continued grinning. But you're in trouble. Your dad's surgery costs, what? His accurate guess made me glare at him. Ah, I knew it. You're so predictable. What do you want? Don't look so scared. As your former boss, I want to help you. Help? He put his hand on my shoulder, whispering, leak the new project info from Blue Tech Co. to us. Then I'll cover your dad's surgery costs. I laughed at his ridiculous proposal. Taking my reaction as positive, he began to talk more. It's not a bad deal, right? That company has been too arrogant lately. Oh, dirt on that female president would be good as well. It'd be fun to see her face twist. but I never expected you to join Blue Tech Co. Luck's finally come my way. Disgusted by his talking about Thompson, I fiercely shrugged off his hand. What the hell are you doing? I won't cooperate with you. I firmly rejected him. He raised his voice, displeased with my attitude. What the hell? You're talking big. Reject my offer and your dad won't make it. You okay with that? Even so, I will never betray the company or President Thompson. I couldn't stand him trying to disgrace the company and the president with his dirty tricks. I will save my father by myself. Don't ever show up in front of me again. How dare you? Just shut up. You'll regret this. Just as his anger peaked and he was about to hit me, a nurse who happened to pass by intervened. What's all this noise? A nurse passing by heard us and came over. You crying to me anyway? I'll be waiting for you to contact me anytime. With those words, he ran off. I couldn't concentrate at work even after returning to the office. I want my father to undergo surgery, but the fact is I don't have the money. Even so, I absolutely don't want to betray the company and take money from Tom. My thoughts were swirling, unable to settle. President Thompson obviously noticed my state. She came right in front of me and asked me directly, "Is something wrong? Tell me. I would like to talk to you if possible, but I don't want to cause trouble." "Then, will you listen to my story first?" she said and sat down next to me. She began talking about why she started the company. I love games, so I started this company. But the early days were terrible. I was obsessed with making sellable games, giving irrational orders, and when those games sold, I became arrogant, thinking as long as it makes a profit, it's a win. I saw games merely as tools then. So bad, right? My approach wasn't accepted, and many people left. The quality of our games deteriorated. Naturally, the company started failing. Being in the same industry, I didn't know Blue Tech Co. had such a past when it started. When work diminished and I had too much time, I started playing an online game that was popular then. I wanted to understand what was different about my games. That's where I met someone. Before I knew it, she was intently looking at me. The game was Far Away Story. The player I met was Ku. You, Carlos. What? I let out a voice of surprise at the president's words. During the interview, your resume and past experiences shocked me. Ku's story was right in front of me. I didn't know his face, but the voice, manner of speaking, and passion for gaming, it was Ku. I knew. Why didn't I realize sooner? This voice, polite way of speaking, care for others. The person who encouraged me to find a new job the day I was fired. President Thompson smiling in front of me was my gaming friend Daisy. Even among those who do terrible things in games, Ku's actions were admirable, acting selflessly for others, always supporting everyone while partying together. I realized what I had been doing in reality. I was embarrassed by my past actions. Reminiscing, she looked down. Then I apologized to everyone in the company, discussed and decided our future direction together. We carefully listened to improvement suggestions and changed things one by one. It took time, but by valuing every employee, the atmosphere in the company completely changed. Former colleagues who had left came back. Some programmers who helped us during the recent trouble were ex-employees who had chosen freelancing. Really? Yes. Years have passed since then, but they still came to help. I'm beyond grateful. Blue Tech Co. today is thanks to what I learned from Ku. She then gently took my hand. Her hand was much smaller than mine, but very warm. You are my benefactor. Now it's my turn to help you, Ku. I'm glad I encouraged you to change jobs. Because of that, I can help you now. President Thompson, you were Daisy. I didn't realize it all. It's okay. I didn't talk much about personal matters and I was afraid of distancing everyone by revealing I'm the president. No way. Just because Daisy is the president, it doesn't mean Rodent Alice or even I would leave. I shouted with such force that I unintentionally gripped her hand tightly, only then realizing she was holding my hand. Oh, your hand. I won't let you go until you tell me what's going on. Please talk to me. At her words, tears overflowed from my eyes. My heart had reached its limit. She gently handed me a handkerchief. As I wept, President, I'm sorry. It's just me. Take your time. It's okay. Then I confessed everything about my father's condition, the surgery, and his words. After I finished, I looked up to see her in tears. Carlos, I wish you had told me sooner, but thank you for sharing something so painful. Can I take care of your father's matter? But I don't want to be a burden. I want to help you. He's the father who raised you. I'd love to meet him and talk, so let me handle it. Thank you so much. I'm determined to save my father. I still want to be with him. I was grateful to President Thompson, who cried with me for my father and resolved to repay this kindness for the rest of my life. She quickly arranged the surgery funds. She said I didn't need to pay her back, but it was a significant amount. I insisted on an advance of my salary and promised to work at the company and repay this kindness. After my father's surgery, his surgery was performed and was a success. Postoperative recovery was also uneventful. Thompson and I visited my father in the hospital. We both owe you a lot, he said to Thompson, sitting up in bed. No, Carlos has saved our company twice. I'm just glad I could repay him. Everyone at the company is happy to work with him. Thank you, President Thompson. Carlos, you're lucky to have found such a good company. We were all smiling. Now, if only Carlos finds a nice woman, I could rest easy. Dad, what are you saying? If someone like President Thompson became your wife, your mother in heaven, and I would be so happy. Dad, that's inconvenient for the president, I said. Sorry, the president has an absurd suggestion, my dad replied, but Thompson's face was bright red. If I'm okay, I'd love to, Thompson said. Really, President? Are you serious? I asked. Now I can rest easy. President Thompson, please take care of my son. I'm not much, but please accept my regards, my dad said, leaving me. Thompson and I greeted each other. While we were having such a happy time, Tom and his company were facing serious troubles. Tom's father, the president, fell and was hospitalized, and Tom took over as acting president. He wielded his power recklessly, firing many people for no reason and misusing company funds. The blame for firing the people who were at the core of the company was felt immediately, and the quality of the games made by Macro Dane significantly decreased. Desperate as he couldn't recover the misused funds, Tom released a bug-riddled game which received major backlash, causing the company's stock to plummet. Faced with shareholder criticism, he sought to recover by stealing technology or talent from Blue Tech Co. or by undermining its reputation. That's why he targeted me. By chance, in the same hospital, Tom called in desperation. Carlos, you need money, right? Give me Blue Tech's information. I have no intention of helping you. Besides, my father's surgery was a success. I replied. Ha! How could someone like you afford it? I get it, you must have blackmailed the president for money, Tom accused. Don't lump me with you. President Thompson is a wonderful person, not like you, I said. Shut up. Just give me the money if you have it. I'm in serious trouble. The company will collapse. My father will disown me, Tom pleaded. I thought it was deserved. His own actions had come back to haunt him. Whatever happens to you is none of my business. If you approach me or President Thompson again, I'll take legal action. Don't ever contact me again, I warned and hung up. Perhaps scared by the threat of legal action, he never approached President Thompson, Blue Tech Co., or me again. My father was discharged from the hospital a few months after surgery. His rehab continued, but he could occasionally go to the hospital by himself. So I moved from being the president's assistant to the development department. I'm happily working every day surrounded by great colleagues. Today, President Thompson visited our development department. Good work, Carlos, she said. You too, President, I replied. After finishing her conversation with everyone, she approached me. Then she whispered nervously into my ear, I've been invited by your father today. What should I wear? What about a gift? President Thompson, you look great in anything, and he will be happy with anything you choose, I assured her. Oh, really? If you say so, that's fine, she blushed and smiled, looking so adorable that I wanted to hug her. Excuse me, while we're happy to see you getting along, please keep personal conversations for after work. Director Leon appeared behind us without notice. Looking around, I saw that everyone in the department was smiling at us. Sorry, I got carried away. I apologized. After that hospital room interaction, we actually started dating. When I told our gaming friends Roden and Dallas, they were surprised but congratulated us. Reporting it to the company, Everyone celebrated. Being with the most important person, who is also my benefactor, I'm incredibly happy. I have a past where games saved me. I have precious people around me connected through games. It's because of these people I met that I am who I am today. If the games I make bring joy to someone, if it connects many people, there's nothing more fulfilling. I want to cherish these important people who understand and create with me for the rest of my life. May I request you to deliver a speech in French here, Lily? Everyone in the office was taken aback by our director's unreasonable request. Why on earth does she need to deliver a speech in French right here? Who can perform such a miraculous job without any preparation? Clearly, it was a jab at my colleague, Lily. Her face turned pale, and she was on the verge of tears. I stepped forward to shield her. If I speak French, what will you do for me, huh? Fine, if you pull it off, I'll give up my position to you. But if you fail, I'll demote you alongside Lily. Once I accepted the challenge, I began my speech. The director was astonished by me and muttered, "That cannot be. How come someone like you?" "Because no one knows my real identity yet. I'm Thomas. I've just returned to the headquarters after a decade abroad. I intended to come back earlier, but my plan didn't go through as expected for some reason. Throughout my time abroad, I couldn't stop thinking about one woman. Her name is Lily. It's been 3 years since I last saw her, and I felt anxious all the way to the office. It was 10 years ago when I was assigned to the Europe office. On the day I left for abroad, Lily came to the airport to say goodbye and wish me luck. I confessed that I had romantic feelings for her and promised to nurture our relationship once I returned. Lily, with a shy smile, agreed. While I was working away from home, Lily and I constantly communicated through emails, sharing our lives, joys, and frustrations. I would eagerly return to spend cherished moments with Lily in the States. When I explained to Lily the reasons why I couldn't return to the States, no matter how much I wished due to business commitments from the Europe branch in the headquarters, she showed her unwavering support for me, saying, "I'm fine, so keep up the good work." Despite the distance lying between us, we maintained a strong relationship. However, things changed dramatically a year ago. Lily abruptly stopped sending messages. I was no longer surprised if I didn't receive a reply from her for several days, so I assumed that she was occupied with her work. There were times when she wouldn't bother to reply to my emails, but no matter how long I waited, there was no reply from Lily at all. I sent numerous messages out of concern, but received no replies. Her phone number wouldn't be reached either. I wondered what was happening with Lily. I directly negotiated with the president for permission to return to the headquarters. Initially, he obviously didn't want to grant my request to return to the headquarters, but he eventually approved it. I believe he considered the various achievements I had established during my 10 years of service. And so, after 10 years, I returned to the headquarters. A decade had passed, and the headquarters had moved into a different new building. Being abroad, I hadn't fully realized just how much the company had grown into such a significant enterprise. Witnessing the growth firsthand, I felt my 10 years weren't wasted. I entered the shiny new office and began greeting the head office supervisors. Since I returned to the headquarters due to my persistent request, and the office didn't have enough time to properly arrange my position prior to my arrival, I temporarily assumed the role of a rank-and-file employee. Thus, greeting my superiors was crucial for smoothly moving forward in my work. One thing I noticed while making my rounds was how the faces of the management had completely changed. It had been 10 years since I went abroad, so naturally, changes were expected. Some of the managers from that time might have been assigned abroad like me. I guess the company has been expanding into African markets and gaining profits from those ventures. While greeting the managers, I was searching for Lily at the same time. I had heard from HR that Lily was still with the company. Since my position wasn't finalized yet, they placed me in the department where Lily belonged for the time being, so she had to be somewhere in this new office. As I was finishing my rounds to most of the managers, I finally spotted a woman who I thought might be Lily. I looked at her, though I couldn't be sure it was Lily. She looked so different from the last time I met her, much thinner, almost like a different person. As I stood there in shock, she turned towards me. As our eyes locked onto each other, despite the shock, I managed to ask, "Lily, is that you?" Her hair was barely combed, tied back. She seemed not to wear makeup, with dark circles under her eyes. Now wearing glasses instead of contact lenses, her nails were long as if they hadn't been trimmed in a while, and her fingertips were rough and frayed. How had the once lovely Lily changed so much? 3 years ago, when we last met, Lily had been cute and stylish for our date. Why had she changed so drastically? Perhaps my shock was evident because Lily's face turned pale. At that moment, I regretted showing such a reaction, even though it was impulsive. Lily spoke with a strained voice, saying, "I'm sorry." With that, she turned to flee. I hurriedly grabbed her hand and exclaimed, "Wait, Lily." When I grabbed her hand, Lily stopped in her tracks. When I held her hand, it was shockingly thin, making me wonder if she'd been eating properly at all. I didn't know what had happened to Lily. When I grabbed her hand, she stopped in her tracks. She spoke in a faint, frail voice. "I'm sorry I disappointed you. Didn't you expect me to look like this?" "No, not exactly." "What happened? You haven't contacted me for a year." "I'm sorry I caused you trouble." "It's all right. Talk to me. I'm on your side, Lily." I spoke firmly, and Lily hesitantly looked up. She finally looked into my eyes. As I looked directly at Lily, tears welled up in her eyes filled with anxiety. "Are you a rookie starting to work in this department today?" Just then, a domineering voice addressed us. I could tell Lily was trembling upon hearing it. It was clear she was frightened of whoever spoke. Turning towards the source of the voice, I tried to identify the person. A woman, visibly haughty with heavy makeup and a strong perfume scent, approached. You are? Oh, you're going to work here without even knowing my name? Geez, I'm May, the next president of the company." "She's the department head," Lily informed me in a weak voice. I found out later that her name is May. She's the daughter of the company's president, and it seems already decided that she'll take over the company. She wasn't around 10 years ago. Apparently, she transferred here a year ago and has been the department head since then. The timing of May's transfer coincides with when we lost contact with Lily. Could it be May who drove Lily to the point where she didn't even have the energy to communicate? "Nice to meet you. I'm Thomas, and I'll be under your care at the headquarters from today." "Pleasure to meet you." After my harmless greeting, May inquired, then a few questions. "What's your career history?" "About 10 years at a branch office." "Your education?" That's when May asked about my education. I hesitated. There was a reason I didn't like to talk about my education. "Can't say anything." "Is there something embarrassing?" "Oh wait, you don't have a degree, do you?" "It's incorrect." "Then why can't you answer?" "There are reasons I can't say. If you really want to know, go through HR and check my resume." "That's fine. I'm not going to waste my time on it. You only have a high school degree or a Mickey Mouse degree anyway," May said with a smirk. Lily appeared as if she wanted to say something but seemed to frighten, her body shrinking, unable to make a sound. After comparing both me and a frightened Lily, May added, "Well, you two incompetents might as well get along," before turning her back and playing with her hair as she left. After May left, I asked Lily, "You okay?" "Ah, thank you," she replied, seeming scared of May and trembling. Lily is serious about her work but is a timid woman. She likely finds it challenging to handle assertive women. I furrowed my brows and said in a troubled tone, "She's pretty overbearing. I kind of don't like her." "You shouldn't say that." "Why? You don't like her either, right?" "I'm fine. I have to go back, excuse me." Why would she defend someone like that? May evidently has a dominant personality. Not everyone would be happy to work with her. I tried to show my empathy with Lily, but she returned to her office, and I don't understand why. Why would Lily say something like that? The reason probably lies in the situation of this department. I decided to observe while working throughout the day to understand what's happening here. To find out, I decided to spend the day working and observing the situation. On that day, I was handling the tasks I had been given. Since it's my first day, the workload wasn't too heavy. As the end of the day approached, employees started leaving. While others left, Lily was still at her desk working. Peeking over, I saw her desk cluttered with documents. With a somber expression and sighs, she edited documents on her monitor. Leaning over from behind, I peered at the monitor and asked, "Still got a lot left?" Startled by my presence, Lily jolted and then turned around, answering in a flustered manner. Thomas. Lily hesitated on how to respond, her gaze wandering. Eventually, she answered, yes. I see. Are these documents something I can help with? I'll give you a hand. I haven't had much work today, so I've still got energy left. You look tired, Lily. Tell me what I can do to help. It's quitting time, Thomas. You can head home. I'm fine. You know I'm good at this sort of thing. I grabbed a nearby laptop, brought it over to the next table, then started looking through the pile of documents on Lily's desk. Lily looked flustered as I started going through the papers, but she was too tired to protest and soon started showing me what needed to be done. Could you read through these documents and correct errors in French? Got it. Let's see. Wow, what is this? I can't even read it. I skimmed through, but the awkward phrasing made me frown. It was hard to even understand what the author was trying to say. Lily, you're good at Japanese. That's why I've been tasked with reviewing these documents. I wish that were the case. I said it to cheer her up, but the reality was likely different. She was probably saddled with a workload that would never be completed by quitting time. Lily, drop the formalities, please. Oh, but... And why so formal all of a sudden? I've been worried since you stopped contacting me. Are you upset with me for not contacting you? Yeah, I am. At that, Lily looked like she'd seen the end of the world. That's right, someone like me. No, I'm mad because you're going through all this, and you didn't say a word to me. Lily looked startled. So you mean I was nothing for you? Nope, Thomas, I didn't want to bother you because you're far from home, and I didn't want to add any burden with my own problems. Finally, you stopped being so formal. I laughed, and Lily covered her mouth, embarrassed. Lily, do you remember the promise? I know I've kept you waiting for 10 years. I remember. I was too eager. Even though we weren't officially together, I acted like your boyfriend just based on our emails. Funny, right? That's why it took me so long to come back. That's not true. I've always been thinking of you, Thomas, and I was so happy with your emails. Do you still love me after all this time? Yes, I do. I've always loved you, Thomas, so don't say things like that. Then from now on, count on me. Lily's eyes widened. Really? Of course, you've been through so much. Let me protect you from now on. Besides, I owe you more than I can ever repay. Tears started to form in Lily's eyes. I thought you were no longer interested in me. According to her, she thought I'd be disappointed seeing her in such a haggard state after I returned to our homeland. Honestly, I couldn't deny I was shocked by her appearance, and I acted weird, resulting in her feeling bad. Since I learned you'll be back, I wished for a total makeover, but I've been so swamped with overloaded work that I just didn't have the energy. I'm sorry. It's my mistake. I wiped away the tears from Lily's eyes. Can I fulfill my long overdue promise to you now? I hope it's not too late. I asked Lily, looking directly into her eyes. Hearing my words, Lily gazed back at me. Will you go out with me? Sure, Lily smiled through her tears. According to HR, I'll be working in the same department as Lily for a while. Regarding my position, they said they need some more time to finalize it, so I'll keep an eye on Lily from within the department. One day, as I observed the working environment around Lily, I witnessed May dumping more work on her. Lily, can you handle this for me? Lily looked uncertain. She probably didn't have the capacity to take on more work. If she accepted, she'd end up working late again. Seeing Lily in trouble, I approached the two and said, Lily seems to be occupied with her tasks right now. I'll find someone else who's free to help. I told you I want Lily to do it. It would be more efficient to pass it to someone who's available. Humph, cheeky. Fine, do as you like. I thought I heard May click her tongue as she left. She probably just wanted to dump more work on Lily rather than actually distribute it. What a bossy person. Thank you. It's no big deal. If you have more pending work, let me handle it. Didn't I tell you to count on me, right? Lily's smile made me feel at ease. I didn't mind working late as long as it meant seeing her happy. I started looking for someone to delegate the task given by May. As I did, quitting time approached us. I've been helping Lily with her pending tasks. But it seems May has assigned her a significant workload. I couldn't see the goal of this endeavor. However, we've both been working on it as a team. Today, I successfully declined additional tasks, so there's an end in sight. With diligent work within regular hours, we should meet the deadline in a few days. I thought I would put on my jacket and grab my business bag. Lily, let's go home. Wait a moment, I told Lily. Just as it was time to go, May approached us. I realized then what was probably happening. Lily likely always gets interrupted by May like this when trying to leave on time. Oops, are you leaving? You haven't finished your work yet. That's the way incompetents are, just like you. Well, Lily stammered, so I stepped forward. She still has a few days until the deadline. We can finish it within regular hours tomorrow or the day after, so I don't see the benefit of staying late today. Are you trying to teach me what to do? Do you know who I am? Yes, you are the daughter of the president of this company. Then you should be aware of overtime pay, right? For the sake of your company, reducing unnecessary overtime is more beneficial. Forcing Lily to work overtime means your company is wasting resources. Do you understand? May probably couldn't find any answer to counter my argument. Despite appearing unsatisfied, she walked out. After May left, Lily sighed deeply in relief. Thanks, Thomas. You've saved me several times today. Never mind. May is awful, isn't she? She shouldn't be allowed to be selfish just because she is the daughter of the president. She's untouchable. Everyone just turns a blind eye. We don't want to get on her bad side. Probably everyone in the department is careful not to draw May's attention. That's why I tried to gently stop you when you first spoke of May. If you get involved too, Thomas, don't worry. I've dealt with many difficult personalities in my past. But watch your back. May has numerous negative rumors, and HR just follows whatever she instructs. She will not hesitate to demote you if you upset her, especially considering you are new here. Oh, really? Well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I can't just watch you suffer. Lily began to regain her energy. Since the day I started blocking May from intentionally overloading her with tasks, she replaced her glasses with contact lenses, and her makeup became more vibrant as she started paying extra attention to enhance her beauty. Additionally, she dyed her hair and proudly showcased her newly polished nails. The dark circles under her eyes began to fade slowly. Lily was regaining her old charm. As long as May stopped harassing Lily, hopefully, Lily will get back to her old self, I thought. But I was wrong. May struck back at the morning toolbox assembly. Suddenly, May said, "Lily, come to the front." May unexpectedly instructed Lily to step forward in front of all the employees. Lily had no choice but to follow her instruction. What's going on here now? The employees began to murmur. Silence, please, May said in an ice-cold tone, and the office fell silent. She then began to speak. Our company is now focusing on business expansion outside the States. In connection, we've been opening our branches abroad, and many employees have been assigned to those locations. Consequently, we need to speak a second language to deal with our prospective clients in the set locations, right? Her point made sense. But how does that lead to calling Lily out in front of all the employees? May continued. Give us a speech in French, Lily, she instructed. The office buzzed again. The idea that just because of the increasing volume of worldwide trading, one should give an impromptu French speech was absurd. Without any prior notice or practice, this was clearly unreasonable and obviously a targeted humiliation of Lily. We do business in France. You should be able to handle this much, right? Unable to refute, Lily stepped forward, looking frightened. Lily has good French skills required for the business transactions, but she had one fatal flaw: extreme stage fright. Her lips were trembling. She was likely experiencing a mental block when suddenly put on the spot. Seeing Lily unable to speak, May snorted dismissively. Do you know this girl only graduated high school? At those words, Lily visibly shook. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a high school graduate. The company prides itself on having staffed individuals with degrees from the best universities. It's nothing short of humiliation to make fun of and look down on her just because she is a high school graduate. Then I understood the root cause of May's persistent harassment. She was prejudiced against those with a lower educational background. For the company, a high school graduate who cannot finish work on time is considered an issue. Everyone here holds either bachelor's or master's degrees. Moreover, you're the only one who can't give a speech in a second language. Are you aware of this, Lily? Go ahead, try. If you fail, you're demoted. Lily clenched her lips. Lily seemed terribly cornered by May's challenge, tears welling up in her eyes. Impulsively, I stepped forward. Then I looked straight at May and said, "This is wrong." "What?" "Indeed, speaking a second language is an indispensable skill for smooth transactions with our clients. However, there are other ways to enhance such skills." Do you really want to put Lily on blast? Oh dear, how touching. The bottom feeders are sticking up for each other. I forgot, but you probably can't speak it either. Why do you say so? Do you only have a high school diploma, or at best, a Mickey Mouse degree? You speak French, huh? That's impossible. I frowned. How come she is so presumptuous? If I speak French, what will you do for me? Oh, fine. If you pull it off, I'll give up my position to you. But if you fail, I'll demote you alongside Lily. Keep your word, I responded to May in French. What? My fluent French made May uneasy and upset. The employees murmured in surprise as they learned that my French proficiency was at an advanced level comparable to that of a native speaker. Gee, why? May panicked. You didn't review my resume, did you? I have a bachelor's degree from the Université PSL in France. While other employees seemed to understand my French, a kind of surprise appeared on their faces upon learning about my educational background. Having spent my college years in Europe and worked there for 10 years, French had become like a second native language to me. But I haven't publicly proclaimed that I have a bachelor's degree from the Université PSL. When I mention it, I often receive sarcastic comments about being pretentious or being praised for being an elite. That's why I became evasive when asked about my educational background due to these circumstances. I had a hard time warming up to my colleagues in this company. In the midst of that, Lily reached out to me. Even though Lily knew about my educational background, she genuinely respected it and asked me to teach her French. She started learning French once she heard the company was planning to expand the business to Europe, but was struggling to improve alone. How happy I was that she reached out and relied on me when I was feeling isolated. It made me feel that someone needed me, saving me from loneliness. Gradually, I started spending more time with her and developed feelings. My feelings grow by the day. She's definitely shy. She might not be able to speak well in a situation like this, but she's a driven person, bound to succeed. Now, she speaks better Japanese than anyone else in this department. I know she can make the most accurate and meticulous Japanese text documents among us. Looking down at someone based on their education isn't right. Her extensive effort and enthusiasm toward her work should be acknowledged and duly praised. I uttered all this in French. When I spoke that fluently, a round of applause erupted from within the company. Given the company's focus on worldwide trading, it seemed that all the employees could understand my French. What? What is this? Meanwhile, May, who had been all talk, seemed to understand nothing. Seeing her as the only one out of the loop was somehow satisfying. Lily and I exchanged a smile. I then wrapped up the toolbox meeting by saying, "That's it. Thank you all for your time." Thomas, the president, put a grim look on his face as he learned what had happened. Hearing the applause for my speech, the president approached us to inquire what happened. Afterward, Lily and I headed to the president's office and explained the situation to him. Lily was able to report to the president that she was being harassed by May, habitually given unreasonable tasks. For Lily, my speech may have served as her security blanket, making her feel protected and assured. May boasted a lot, but she isn't proficient in French. I'm not saying she cannot understand French, but her skill isn't good enough for a business setup. Consequently, the documents May prepared for the French-speaking clients often returned for review, and Lily had been the one correcting them. I responded to the president's words, "It's all true, Mr. President." "That's a lie. I fixed them myself." "No, there's never been a single time when my document was returned for being inadequate." May clung to the president, trying to save her pride. However, the truth never tells a lie. Indeed, May didn't understand the morning speech. Furthermore, the original documents she asked Lily to review are clear evidence of who is telling the truth. Startled, May reacted to being called. "You've been quite dismissive of him, but let me tell you, Thomas is a former branch manager of our Europe office." "What?" May froze. "A branch manager is a position higher than a director," meaning I held a more prestigious position than May until I returned to the headquarters. At his age, how was that possible? You've been getting by and being shrewd, but your time is up. You can't grow as long as you keep pushing your mistakes onto others and acting as if those mistakes never happened. You need to learn from your own mistakes, reflect on your actions if you want to be my successor. May's lips quivered. Either she was stunned by the career of the person she had been belittling or felt inferior to a genuine elite unlike herself. You've been getting by and being shrewd, but your time is up. You can't grow as long as you blame your mistakes on others and act as if those mistakes never happened. You need to learn from your own mistakes and reflect on your actions if you want to be my successor. But I've been desperately trying to succeed you, Dad. Perhaps May felt the pressure of needing to be the most capable successor. Maybe she was raised to be the business successor, knowing everyone is expecting and at the same time pressuring her to obtain a high-level education. So, even though she wants to ask someone, she can't do it because her pride doesn't permit her to do so. On the other hand, her mindset and attitude go in the wrong direction just to maintain her high status, and perhaps as her father, the president understands the inner struggles of May. The president says, if you have the ambition, that it's just a matter of approach. Step down from your director position. I won't fire you. Try doing things your own way from now on. I understand. May's voice was tearful. Being directly confronted with her mistakes must have been incredibly frustrating for her, but seeing May accept the president's words, I felt she might grow significantly from this point on. After that speech, I gained the employees' trust and was appointed as a department director at the headquarters. In the end, I took over the position of May, though I'm not sure if she still remembers she bet her position. I was once a Europe branch manager, but here at the headquarters, there are so many competitors. Being appointed as the director is truly a privilege for me. Climbing to the top of the corporate ladder requires further career development at the headquarters. Meanwhile, Lily assumed the position of assistant to the director. In other words, she took on a role that would help me with my work. The president appreciated the accuracy of the French documents and the serious approach to work that I exhibited. Afterward, although May lost her position, the president's reprimand seemed to have sparked a change in her. She started seriously learning French and management. The previous arrogance was nowhere to be seen. Now, she might even be called one of the most diligent employees in the headquarters. May came to me with her documents. Excuse me, Thomas, could you check if there's anything wrong with this document? Let's see. Perhaps due to her serious study, the French text document was much more readable than before. She must be very smart. Probably she didn't seriously tackle learning a second language before. I can assure her French skills will soon reach a practical level. Every time I check documents or explain things to May, Lily glares at us. I've never seen such an expression on her, so I'm taken aback. What's up, Lily? It's nothing. Lily, why are you so formal? Lily? Well, if you're going to be like that, maybe I should take on your role. No, you can't. I won't give it up now. Lily expresses herself and speaks her mind clearly, even to May. Perhaps she gains confidence from being promoted. This is a significant advancement for the once timid Lily. Soon, she'll likely be able to speak French confidently in negotiations too. Seeing May start to take her studies seriously, it seems the rest of the employees are also more motivated to learn French. The working environment in the department is much better now, and work is going more smoothly. A healthy workplace has something to do with good performance. This department, once dominated by autocracy, is now working well together with employees growing rapidly. There were times I wasn't sure of my future in this company, especially when I felt isolated due to my educational background, but this atmosphere of ambition isn't bad. I'm glad I work with this company.